The following podcast contains spoilers for Stronger. You have been warned. Go Sox.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Judgement, but along with your Australian host, Miguel Magusto.
Park the car in Hahvahd yard.
As you can tell, we've been all around the world, but mostly Boston.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I apologize to everyone from Boston. You know, we try to make these fun. But I suck at accents, so that's the best you're going to get. I'm sorry, not sorry.
That was probably closer than anything you did.
Yeah. I had
That's
the help
crazy.
of an accent translator, which didn't help that much.
Very nice.
Go Sox!
Yeah, that part must have been on repeat, like, the whole time.
How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm very exhausted. I cannot lie. We had a friend come up from Atlanta, Georgia, and we kind of did all kinds of shit this weekend. We went in Philly. We got a cheesesteak. It was his first actual Philly cheesesteak. The one I usually go to is Jim Steaks, but sadly it burned to the ground.
What?
A couple months ago.
Like legitimately burned to the ground?
It did.
God
did.
damn. Hopefully they can find a new location.
They did find a new location, and I think they either are already building or will.
Yeah.
But so we had to go to a new place, and we chose Stephen, Prince of Steaks, which apparently they do not chop up their steak, which makes me
not a Philly
sad boy.
cheesesteak. That is not a Philly cheesesteak if they don't chop it up.
Nobody told me until, we got it. I mean, it was still really good. It was still a really good cheesesteak, but it was not. It was not chopped.
Steven, you are not the Prince of Cheesesteaks if you don't chop your cheesesteak, you son of a bitch.
That's why he's the prince. He ain't no
he
king.
ain't no king. That's for damn sure.
But regardless, it was pretty delicious. Then we went to the art museum. We dicked around back home a little bit, and not that way. Get the fuck out of here. We went to Shady Maple. We then we went to Phoenixville. We went all over the place this weekend. It was chaos, but it was nonstop, just exploring and walking around. It was fun, but very exhausting today at work.
Sounds like it.
After dropping him off at the airport, got to work, and it was like, I don't want to be here right now. I just want to sleep.
Baby boy needs sleep.
But between all of that, somewhere, we had watched a movie together. I had finished a certain movie that had been lingering for the last week and a
Quiet
half.
on the Western Front.
I did finish it. Fantastic movie altogether. I had to do it in sittings because I just didn't have time to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was a great movie. Cinematography is crazy. So is the acting. So is the story. Then we had watched Knock at the Cabin. There's a review out that Miguel Magusto did himself, and it is quite delicioso. See what we thought about the movie yourselves.
Yeah.
And then I had watched the last episode. Well, not the last episode. The recent episode of The Last of Us. It's fantastic. The show's so fucking good so far. It's everything a gamer could want, who's very passionate about their source material. Except for, a lot of people are pissed because of the third episode, but they can get over themselves because it's fucking great character development. And then, of course, I watched Stronger, which we shall get into in a moment.
Stronger!
Fucking Stronger, man!
Go Sox!
I cannot get the Australian out now. I used to be pretty good at a Boston accent. I guess I'm too tired.
I have never been good at any accent except for... and, I'm not ashamed to say this because it was when I was dumb and didn't know better. I was pretty good at an Indian accent back in the day. But, not appropriate to do that. It wasn't appropriate to do that then. It is not appropriate now. I know better now. So, there we go. But, I watched a few movies,
Oh.
Nothing new here.
Scandalous little fella. Huh?
First one I watched is Jennifer's Body. It's a movie I've been avoiding since it was in theaters in 2009 because I think Megan Fox is not that great. Amanda Seyfried is pretty good. But then I heard that this was actually pretty good because it was funny.
Yeah. It's a movie you don't take seriously.
Yeah, and it is better than I expected it to be, but the Diablo Cody writing in it, like the dialogue, that dialogue to me only really works when it's Elliot Page saying it in Juno. It doesn't really work for anyone else. I think Elliot Page is the only person that can say that shit and have it sound normal. because everything that they said was just like, oh God. Like
A little bit of yucky.
Yeah, it was, but it was still better than I expected. I didn't love it. I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. I just didn't like it. I did not like it.
It's been a very long time since I had seen that movie.
Then I finished a short series. I don't know if it's a short series. They might do it, but it's an anthology series. Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. That is essentially just 8 hour-long horror movies, completely unrelated to each other, different directors, different actors, everything. It's essentially just like the Twilight Zone, but with Guillermo del Toro's style to it. Really enjoyed it for the most part. There's a few weak episodes in there, as expected with an anthology. Some of them are not going to be as good as others, but there were some that were really good. My favorite one was, I believe it's the 3rd episode, called The Autopsy. Has F. Murray Abraham as the lead actor in it.
Emil Hirsch as well, probably.
No. Nice reference to the Autopsy of Jane Doe, by the way. Yeah. So Cabinet of Curiosities, if you're a fan of Guillermo del Toro, you'll probably really like it. I really liked it. So check that out. Then for the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, I watched one called 1900. It's a 4-hour-long movie about Italians before the World Wars and after the World Wars and after the Revolution in Italy and everything. It's got Robert De Niro. Oh, God, what's his name? He's the French actor with Gerard Depardieu. He's in it. Donald Sutherland's in it. It has some really good moments, but there's no way in God's green and blue earth that it needed to be 4 hours long. It was just really boring for the most part. I would say probably 30 to 45 minutes of it were good, which if it wasn't 4 hours would be pretty decent. But since it's 4 hours, it's just few and far between. And then it's also just stupid because everyone in it's so fucking annoying. And then after the first hour, every 10 minutes felt like an eternity. It was not good. It was not a fun one to watch. Not that it needed to be fun, but it had to be at least good, and it wasn't that either. I don't know why it's on the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Good performances, I'll give it that. I think people just really like the idea of Italy, so they're very oh, Italy, look how Italian it is.
Italy deserves 4 hours, so.
Does it?
Any Italian will say yes. I'm not Italian.
Yes, if you're there, definitely stay more than 4 hours. But for a movie that has very annoying people in it, and bad score, horrible score. The orchestration, the music in it was horrible. So yeah. Oh shit! Oh, I exited out of it. Hold on. Wait a minute. Put a little love in it. Then I watched Dumbo for the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Rewatched it. Hadn't seen it in a long time. Still feel the same way. It's not that fun. Not that good.
Disney's Dumbo, I assume?
Yes. I honestly don't know why it's a classic. It's not that good.
Because it's owned by Disney.
Yeah, it's owned by Disney. That's the only reason. Then we watched Knocked Out of the Cabin, which we have a review for that on the YouTubes. Then I rewatched Knock at the Cabin the following day because I had nothing else to do, and I wanted to go see a movie. So I went and watched it because it was the only thing that was really out that I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
Feel the same way about it that I did the first time.
That's good.
Then Caitlin and I, trying to get through the Best Picture nominations, watched The Banshees of Inisherin. Still fantastic. Still love it. That's the 3rd time I've watched it now. Still has the second most depressing line in all of cinema.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great film. She thought it was fine. It's not really her cup of tea, but
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I understand. But you know me, I loved it. Then with my boy, my favorite child, I watched Inside Out, the Pixar movie. Bing Bong Man.
Oh, Big Bong.
Bing Bong.
One of the saddest scenes in the world.
Yeah. I really like that movie a lot. He seemed to be enjoying it too. So, but he doesn't talk or anything, so it's hard to tell sometimes.
One day.
Yes, one day. And then I watched Stronger, which we will get into right now.
There was an explosion, and your legs, they're gone, bro.
Welcome home. Is it good to be back?
What are you doing?
Talking to you. What are you doing?
Dancing.
You trying to make a hero out of me?
You need to tell your family what's going on with you.
Take my mom, take my pain.
Stronger is the inspiring real-life story of Jeff Bauman, an ordinary man who captured the hearts of his city and the world to become a symbol of hope after surviving the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing. Directed by David Gordon Green, written by John Polano, Jeff Bauman himself, and Brett Witter. Two of those are the book, Stronger. Jeff Bauman, obviously. Top cast is Jake Gyllenhaal, Tatiana Maslany, Miranda Richardson, Richard Lane Jr., Nate Richmond. There's a lot of Rich going on in there. Lenny Clark, Clancy Brown, Patty O'Neill, and
Not
Carlos
for Patty O'Neill,
Sanz.
for Clancy Brown.
Is Carlos Sanz by chance the Carlos?
No, I thought that too. He's an actual Chilean actor.
Okay.
Chilean American. He is American. Born in Chicago, actually. The only reason I said Chilean is because it was right there when I opened up the page.
Yeah.
He's from Chicago. But yeah, I looked that up too. Just have the same name, but different guy.
Just quinky dink.
Would have been crazy if it was him because he was really good.
He was.
But yeah, so this was your pick. I believe you said you were on a Jake Gyllenhaal kick.
I do love me some Jake Gillies.
Yes.
There's a scene that I had saw many times, but I had never seen the movie. I had saw bits of it when it was in theaters, doing kind of just looking around the theaters and just you poke your head in from time to time. You watch it. I think the parts where he was getting prosthetics is kind of a lot that I watched.
Yeah.
But there's one scene in particular that I saw, and I'm like, God damn, I gotta watch that movie one day. We'll talk about that later. But so yeah, this was my silly little pick today.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was gonna be as rated R as it was gonna be, to be honest with you.
I'm glad because a lot of these. My biggest concern going into this is any time that there's like an American tragedy and then they make a movie like less than 10 years later. I would even say less than 20 years later. I'm just like, this is just like patriotism porn. They're trying to get people who are just like, yeah, America, fuck yeah.
And those types of movies are like just genuinely hard to watch because they're trying to just do that.
Yeah, and they're usually PG-13, so they shy away from like the actual tragedy that it is. They focus on the heroes, which I'm all for celebrating the heroes, but let's not jerk ourselves off to it while we do it. So I was glad when I found out this was rated R. Not only did it feel more Bostonian because of all the F-bombs they dropped.
And the drinking and all that.
And the drinking, yeah. But it also made it feel more real. It gave them more leeway to show the actual violence, which at times felt like a bit much, if I'm honest, when they had the flashback of him after the bombing. But at the same time, it's the same exact shit that the media played when it happened. I remember seeing Jeff Bauman, the picture of him with his femur bones sticking out of his leg, uncensored on the news the day that it happened.
Yeah.
So I guess I can't really fault them for that. It seems like Jeff Bauman was relatively involved in it, so I feel like he would have said don't show that if they didn't want them to. Could be wrong about that. I'm just speculating.
I mean, he seemed to be a part of the marketing a good chunk in this.
Yeah.
So I feel like anything that they had done, hopefully, he was a part of and gave the AOKs and whatever a part of his life. It's what it seemed to be. Now, obviously, I can't speak for that, and we didn't necessarily do the research, but it's what it seemed to be.
Yeah,
so
he's at the. There's pictures of him at the premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival. He's taking part in like questions at TIFF. So it does, you're right. It does seem like he's in the marketing. We're just going off of pictures here, so we didn't
pictures
look up
and
how
silly little videos without audio.
Yeah, but and as far as the gore shows, they really only show his injuries. They don't show like anyone else's injuries. So at least it didn't like try to do. It didn't take anyone else's tragedy away from them without their permission. It focused on him, which is one of the things I liked most about this, is that it was very intimate after the bombing happened. Like, it was mostly close-ups with the odd wide shot thrown in, but it was mainly focused on his reaction or Tatiana Maslany's reaction to something.
Felt like more from, not really a POV, but like his point of view on all of it.
Exactly.
Like you were kind of in, well, that was a bad saying. I was going to say in his shoes. I feel like a dick now. Oh my God. In his seat, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't expect too much until obviously the scene that I had watched before. And a lot of this is just genuine raw emotion, and it's real. Like, for a good chunk of this movie, Jeff's and most of his family and friends are all kind of dicks.
Yeah.
So it doesn't shy away and make him seem like a hero. He's constantly questioning himself. He's like, why do you guys keep calling me a hero? Why do you guys keep calling me Boston Strong? Like, all I did was just call two guys out, the bombers. You know, you know, he's psychologically, he's going through it. It does a very good job of like showing you what he's going through without expressing what he's going through out loud. So you could see like the just shit that's going through his head. And
I mean, just in his posture, like you could tell he's very uncomfortable with everything.
Yeah.
Like, even when he's like doing the first pitch, he does the first pitch because who the hell wouldn't do a first pitch for their childhood baseball team, and you know, the team they're a fan of as well. But when he goes to be the banner captain for the Bruins game, just very uncomfortable. Obviously, he has like a PTSD attack. I'm curious to know if that's actually like what happened. I remember watching that game. I don't remember thinking that anything was wrong with him.
Yeah.
So if that is actually how he felt, and like he had the panic attack right afterwards, he held it together really well on the ice. So I'd be interested to find that out. But yeah, you could tell he's very uncomfortable with all the praise and support he's getting, which, you know, is honestly the best part of his character, because he's not like glorifying, or not glorifying. He's not like basking in the glory of what happened. He's going through it. It's very real. I feel like it's how most people probably would feel. And to see just how his mom was kind of selfishly signing him up for all these things, like she
like
agrees
Oprah.
to Oprah before asking him. In fact, springs it on him in front of a bunch of people, which is, you know, toxic in its own way, because it pressures an answer out of someone. And so I mean, I'm sure the actual Patty is a lovely lady who's just super supportive of her son. In this, I feel like she was just overbearing and annoying, and that could be true as well. That doesn't mean she's a bad person, but it's just I liked how real it was. It felt real.
We're not here to judge her, considering we don't know her.
I'm judging the character.
Going
in the
off
movie.
what this was, she was kind of not great.
Yeah, she was.
And great job by the actress for portraying that.
Miranda
too.
Richardson was great. And honestly, that just comes from me not liking, like, I'm probably considered a bad child because I like being by myself. I don't like being checked on by my parents.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I love my parents. I love Papa and Mama Hicks, but I also just like having my space and being left alone. Did so even when I lived at home with them, and so anytime there's like a helicopter overbearing parent, I'm just like,
It gets you anxious.
it gets me very anxious. Like anytime I went over to an Italian friend's house, and his mom would just like be like making sure, like trying to serve us. I'm like, I can do this stuff, man.
Don't you worry, I can do it.
So that's mainly on me for just like being anxious whenever people are like overly eager to talk about me or you know, rave about me or get me a drink, if you will. But she, even in the movie, she took it a little too far. And at times a lot too far, but
Yeah.
she was also enabled by other people to do it as well.
I genuinely, a lot about this movie, I just kind of like the raw emotion everybody gave and the realistic bits of how everybody would react to certain things. Like Aaron's character, like just genuinely feeling bad that this happened to him, and she kind of is by his side and all that, but they were broken up, so like they got this they're like this whole thing on her own. Like, it doesn't just happen to one person, like to Jeff, it happens to everybody, like this psychologically, everything that happened. So like, although it happened to him, what does she do? You know, is the burden on her, even though he tells her it's not? I like that whole thing.
Yeah.
It shows that it's not just the character going through it, that it's characters happening to them, all plural. They did a pretty good job on that. And the scene, I want to mention this specifically before I forget it. I sent you the message. They had like a little chuckle moment. It was weird, but it was like a kind of break in the tension a little bit of how serious it got pretty fast. Where Jeff falls out of bed and like he forgets, I guess that he's got no legs anymore, and he just falls to the floor, and he's just kind of groaning, and the mom and the aunt are like, Jeff, what are you doing? What's going on? And he's just like, oh. And it took me so off guard. I was not prepared for it.
Yeah.
And the aunt's just like, that's great. He's got no legs, but he's busting loads everywhere. I'm like, what? I was just like, what?
Yeah.
It just took me so off guard, and I thought it was just a genuinely funny moment.
That's just like a helicopter parent thing, like being way too open about that stuff. Like,
oh my God, especially the part where the mom comes up and is like, did you have sex with my son?
Yeah. And Tatiana was just like, yeah. Yeah. Parents, word to the wise, if you live with your adult kids and they have sex, just act like you didn't hear it if you heard it. Or if you suspect
just zip it up, please.
Just ignore it. They're adults. They can bang if they want to.
I don't care if you sleep across the hall, but dear God, please.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right about like the raw emotion. Probably the best part, as far as raw emotion goes, is probably one of the more subtle moments when Erin, played by Tatiana Maslany, it's like right after the bombing happened. She's in a bar calling her friends, letting people know she's safe and everything, and she sees Jeff on the TV, and she, any other movie like would probably have her like scream or cry or whatever, but she just kind of like she stops breathing and then realizes she's not breathing.
Yeah.
And kind of like starts to make herself breathe, like while fighting back tears and everything. It was a beautiful, beautiful, subtle moment and performance by Tatiana Maslany. And it really, when I saw that, I knew I was going to at least respect a lot of the choices in this. Director David Gordon Green, of course, Halloween. The
new Halloween series.
Halloween Ends, yeah. And also he plays a cannibal in Bones and All.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. But when I saw this was him, I was like, oh, that's weird, because this is not like anything else he's done, really.
This is slightly better than the other stuff. Holy crap.
My favorite part, first of all, Jeff's manager, Kevin, is the real MVP. But when he came into the hospital, it felt like an advertisement for Costco.
Yeah.
Or just like, oh, we have this insurance, this insurance, this insurance. And then later on, he brings Dunkin'. It felt like Costco and Dunkin' Donuts. Or sorry, I think they just go by Dunkin' now. Where like...
It's both. They still have Dunkin' Donuts on a lot of their buildings.
Or like product placement. And it was just funny how obviously they had done that. And, I don't hate it. It was just kind of a funny, surreal moment. Also showed that Kevin is the real MVP. And
he was pretty fucking solid.
Yeah, he was. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought. I was telling Caitlin that like I wasn't excited to watch this movie just because, the whole patriotism porn thing.
Yeah.
But, it's not starring Mark Wahlberg, so there was a good chance that it wasn't going to be that, and I should have known.
And it definitely did not, and I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah.
There's like one real kind of flaw that I had with it, and it's kind of how fast he kind of changed his, the turnaround of his character.
At the end, or?
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, that was rushed.
It just kind of seemed too fast. Like it tells you a lot in this movie that he's not a great person after what happened, or even during, like before what happened.
Yeah.
and then like one thing happens, you know, and then boom, he's just like, I got to get my shit together.
Yeah.
Like
it made it cringy towards the end. Like it was just like it felt like
it was like a Hallmark moment.
exactly,
Like,
or movie of the week or whatever. You know, whatever you want to call it. And also, I'm bringing this up because this was like the turning point. How the fuck do you stand Tatiana Maslany up? Like,
yeah, wow.
She just seems like the greatest gal in all the world.
It is Jake Gyllenhaal.
That you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I should have gathered that. No, but you know, I don't know. I just loved her character in this, and I feel like all of her performances just bring such a joy and honesty to things that I like her as an actress and the few things I've seen her in.
Yeah.
But how dare you stand her up, Jake Gyllenhaal? But also you're Jake Gyllenhaal, so there we go.
And then I guess kind of really the last thing that I want to speak about is this scene that kind of pushed me to this movie, which I had saw, where they're kind of Erin is kind of telling Jeff that she's got, you know, a big secret coming up, and Jeff was just kind of being a piece of shit and stood her up at a diner, and
how dare you?
She's super pissed off, so now she's passively, very harshly, justifyingly so, giving him a pregnancy test, and then he just goes into this fit of how he can't raise the child, he can't chase after it, and how he was there for her, and it was so good. And if I hadn't seen that, like I was welling up a little bit, but if I had not seen that scene before, I think I would have broke a little bit, because it was so good. Just honestly, it was from the core. Yeah,
everything he says, if he hadn't been acting like a total dick leading up to it, would have been completely justified. They're for someone who just lost their legs, they're very justifiable feelings, and they're still valid, even though he was a dick. But like, I personally was on, while empathizing with him, was just like, you're kind of making this about you, dude. Like, it's not something she trapped you in. It just kind of happened, and you gotta man up in a way.
Yeah,
I hate that term, but also if you get someone pregnant, you gotta man up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So.
But it was a freaking solid scene, and that was definitely the most enjoyable part of it.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that it wasn't very patriotic. It wasn't, you know, praising him to be here. First off, the last thing I forgot, if you see somebody with no legs and you walk up to them and you fucking go, yeah, that was a conspiracy theory, right? Fuck those people. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I would punch you in the face if I was just at that bar and I just overheard that.
Oh, absolutely.
That is how do people think like that? This dude doesn't have legs.
People are
You're just
fucking
like,
stupid.
They're insanely mental.
They've been brainwashed by whatever side of the aisle they worship. Admittedly, it's mostly the right side of the aisle. There are some lefties that are conspiracy theorists as well. But, you know, the whole idea of false flag operations where like there's actors and everything, I want to pose this to people to really think about next time they think there's actors in a tragic situation. If the government really wanted to use this to control you, why wouldn't they just fucking do it? Why would they hire actors, loose ends, who could potentially come out and talk about it later? Why wouldn't they just blow people up?
Yeah, it's crazy to me.
When people started saying that about Sandy Hook, it was like, if the government wants to control people, why wouldn't they just shoot up a school?
Yeah.
Like, if that is why wouldn't they just do it? Why would they hire actors? Like, it's so much easier, as horrible as it sounds, but if you're talking about an evil government like this, as horrible as it sounds, it's just easier to do it. So...
But slowly,
that's the dumbest conspiracy
moving away.
Sorry, you dug deep in something that's been eating at me for 20 years. So
it's so just genuinely fucked up because there's tons of dickheads like that, and it drives me nuts. Like, even if you're thinking that, think it to yourself. Keep it to your fucking self because
go. Oh, that's that actor I saw on the news.
Yeah. Oh, that was totally acting. Even though I saw you on live television with your legs blown
sticking out of your legs.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Just the audacity. Anyway, moving forward. That's all I had to say about that.
Yeah. Fuck that guy. Even if he wasn't real and it's just fictional, fuck that guy.
Yeah. But I mean, thoroughly, I just enjoyed this movie for the most part.
Same here.
I thought it was pretty good and better than I expected.
The ending got really cringy for me, but other than that,
the rated R, it is graphic, and it's in a good way. It takes you, it just kind of takes you back. You're like, oh shit, Jesus Christ, that is horrifying. Now I remember that it was very, very, very fucking bad. Not that it wasn't when I thought of it, but still, it's like it's kind of a flash to reality. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I remember where I was when I found out about it. I remember that day very clearly.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Yeah. So there we go then.
I think so.
So that does it for a review for Stronger. That brings us to the judgment. As always, it needs to be a unanimous decision whether or not it goes on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. Judgment button. This was your choice. Mm-hmm. Does it go on the shelf?
I think I want to put it on the shelf. I wish there was an extra 5 minutes of the ending.
Yeah, to slow it down a bit.
Just to kind of slow it down and make you feel like you're actually progressing with him, going to the therapy sessions, all that, working hard to be a better man. Mm-hmm. I wish that was there a little bit more, but I think overall, the rawness of it is just, it's genuine.
Yeah.
So I would say yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say whatever you said because
it could go either way.
For the majority of the movie, it was a 4 or maybe, it was a 4. And then with the cringy ending, it knocked it down to a 3.5.
Same.
But up until like the last 10, 15 minutes, it was a great movie. So, I'm not going to knock it down off the shelf just for that. So I would say it also goes on the shelf.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Stronger does make it on the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. It is Streaming Roulette Week.
Bada bing.
I never thought I'd say this, but I get kind of excited now for Streaming Roulette. I think it's fun, and I'm glad you came up with the idea, Glenn.
Totally me.
Yes. So for those, you did come up with the idea, and then I figured out how we did the idea. So,
like I said, totally me.
Yeah, take the credit for it. But for those of you who don't know how it works, we spin a very real wheel the size of Rhode Island that has every movie on every streaming service we subscribe to. We spin it 3 times, and then we pick which one of those 3 entices us the most. So without any further ado, here comes the first spin of the very real wheel with these reveal sounds. Loveland from 2014.
I pulled up a nice little ski resort. That's cute.
Yes. It's going to be on Amazon Prime, 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. 24-year-old Ivy sterilizes needles at a tattoo parlor in a small East Texas town. She has an intellectual disability, but she hides her label with grace, wearing bracelets over her medical information bracelet to keep her state-issued ID safely and hiding in her purse. It continues on, but I'm going to stop there. It's directed by Joshua Tate, written by Paul Gleason and Joshua Tate, starring Monica Gassior, Michael Levine or Iovine, Camilo Arias, Angela Bennett, and a bunch of other people. Julie Erickson, I recognize her. What's she from? Who are you, Julie Erickson? Oh, she's from Bernie. That's how I know her. And Harold and Kumar go to Guantanamo Bay. Anyway, so that is going to be Loveland, and that is on Amazon Prime. That is our first spin. Here comes the real spin with real sounds number 2. The Transporter. The first one. We lucked out with that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. From 2002. Luckily, we didn't get any of these things. It's going to be... Ooh. Okay, hold on. We'll have to see what else this is on because it says MGM Plus, which is a addition to Amazon. It's also on Paramount Plus. There is a chance that it will have to be an upgrade or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Roku channel for free with ads too.
There we go.
So Transporter, that is 2002, 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. Frank Martin, who transports packages for unknown clients, is asked to move a package that soon begins moving and complications arise. Move a package that soon begins moving. Like the package moves, like physically moves, or he's moving the package so it's moving.
Yes.
That's a weird phrasing. Directed by Louis Leterrier and Corey Yun. Written by Luc Besson. Okay. Robert Mark Kamen. It is starring Jason Statham, Shu Qi, Matt Schulz, Francois Belriand, and Rick Young. That's all I recognize there. And that is The Transporter on Roku Channel, MGM Plus, Paramount Plus, and probably others as well. So that is Transporter. Spin number 3. Struck by Lightning, 2013. It is a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb. It is a high schooler recounts the way he blackmailed his fellow classmates into contributing into his literary magazine. Directed by Brian Donnelly, written by Chris Colfer, starring Chris Colfer, Rebel Wilson, Christina Hendricks, Dermot Mulroney, good old Dermot Mulroney, Allison Janney, Scott Bailey, and many other people. That is going to be on. It's a rental thing. Oh no, it's on all the free ones like Tubi,
almost everything.
Yeah, Tubi, Pluto, Peacock, Plex, Freevee, Crackle, and Roku. It's on Peacock, Premium, Philo, and Hoopla as well. Yes, so that is Struck by Lightning, The Transporter, and Loveland.
Real tough decisions, to be honest with you.
I am leaning either Loveland or The Transporter, although the existence of Dermot Mulroney and Struck by Lightning would make me okay with that one as well.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't want to see The Transporter.
Okay.
If I was fucking lying,
Oh.
I really want to see The Transporter again.
You've seen it before? I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't necessarily seen it. Just watched it 1,000 times when I was 13.
Oh, well, we'll see if it holds up, I guess. So, Transporter it is.
Frank Martin is the best in the business.
75,000. Half now, half on delivery.
He never made a mistake until today.
What kind of date am I in?
Deep trouble.
You know what to do. Quiet. Why'd you try to kill me?
You broke the rules. You opened the package.
This fall, rules are made to be broken.
So, yes, that is The Transporter on MGM Plus, Paramount Plus, Amazon. Oh, no, that's renting. And Roku channel. Transporter is our assignment for next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_film_review. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I'm Glenn KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we move something that's moving. So is it moving or is it moving?
It's transported.
It's definitely transported, but how is it moving? Is it moving while it's being moved, or is it moving? So
Just give me your fucking car keys.
Yeah, give me a car keys. Go
Just give me your
Sox.
car keys. I gotta transport this fucking thing.
No, in all seriousness, go Phillies, go Birds, go Sixers, go Flyers, all that. Go Union. Yeah, all the sports teams.
Go us.
Go us. Look
We're
at us.
one big fighting family.
Who'd have thought?
Not me.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.